Watching updates at noon with me, Shuhaida Arifin. Our top stories today. PM discusses bilateral relations with Singaporean counterpart. Malacca Governor receives resignation letter from Chief Minister. Bilateral relation and cooperation between Malaysia and Singapore were among matters discussed at the meeting between Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim and his Singaporean counterpart Lee Hsien Loong in Hainan, China this morning. The matter was informed by Datuk Seri Anwar through a post on his official Facebook page today. In the post, the Prime Minister also wished that the bilateral relations between the two countries remain strong. The four-eyed meeting with Lee was held before Datuk Seri Anwar attended the Bao Forum for Asia BFA 2023 today, which was part of the program in the Prime Minister's four-day official visit to China. The special aircraft plane carrying the Prime Minister landed at Bao International Airport at 5:29 p.m. yesterday. The Prime Minister was accompanied on the visit by Transport Minister Anthony Loke Siu Fook and Local Government Development Minister Nga Koming. The Prime Minister also took some time mingling and breaking fast with the local Muslim community as well as the Malaysian delegation that participated in the Bao Forum for Asia Annual Conference BFA 2023 in conjunction with his working visit to the country. At the event, Datuk Seri Anwar also led the Maghrib prayers and performed the Tarawih prayers with the local Muslim community at the Bao Golden Coast Hotel.
Asal orang Hainan. Suruh dia kalau ada masa datang, insyaAllah datang saya City cantik. Di Malaysia saya kena masuk itu di Putrajaya.
很高兴，首相过来这个我们中国，希望我们中马友谊长久，
The Prime Minister is scheduled to attend a meeting with East Coast Rail Link ECRL project main contractor, China Communication Construction Company CCCC. He will also deliver a keynote address at the BFA 2023 opening plenary session that will be attended by Chinese Prime Minister Li Qiang. This is in his 9th international visit after being sworn in as the 10th Prime Minister last November. Now, we have just received the word that Malacca State Secretary Dato' Zaidi Johari has confirmed that Governor Tun Muhammad Ali Rustam has received Datuk Seri Sulaiman Mat Ali's resignation letter as Chief Minister. This comes after UMNO President Datuk Seri Dr. Mazet Hamidi yesterday revealed that he has received a resignation letter from Datuk Seri Sulaiman from the post.
Saya ingin mengesahkan bahawa saya telah menerima surat keputusan jawatan daripada Yang Berhormat Datuk Seri Utama Haji Sulaiman dan saya akan menghadap Tuan Yang Pertama Tuan Sri Dr. untuk mempersembahkan nama alun yang bersesuaian bagi melantikkan ketua menteri yang baru.
However, the UMNO President did not say when he will seek an audience with Tun Dr. Ali or the number of individuals on the list. He was met at the Santunan Kasih Ramadan program at Al-Falah Mosque, Kampung Lebu in Bentong Pahang last night. Speculation about the appointment of the new Malacca Chief Minister began circulating yesterday following messages that went viral about the new Chief Minister's swearing-in ceremony that will take place this Friday. The Home Ministry KDN is in the process of preparing a cabinet paper regarding the progress of the National Integrated Immigration System NIISE to be presented to the cabinet next month. Home Minister Datuk Seri Saifuddin Nasution Ismail said the project has been running for 2 years from the date the contract was first awarded, which was in March 2021 and should be completed in August 2025.
Of course, sebagai menteri, saya perlu untuk mendapat satu gambaran yang tepat supaya berlaku adil pada semua. Projek ini nilainya 1.2 bilion dan kami sekarang dalam proses penyediaan kertas kabinet. Dan bulan April nanti saya kena bentangkan. Bukan pilihan saya, itu arahan oleh Jemaah Menteri kepada Kementerian Dalam Negeri. Jadi saya mesti laporkan apa yang berlaku.
He said this during a dialogue session with the media in Putrajaya yesterday. Datuk Seri Saifuddin said any follow-up actions will be taken based on Cabinet's decision about NIISE after the presentation of the paper. On another matter, Datuk Seri Saifuddin said the government will not compromise or hastily give out citizenship status to any parties in order to achieve the Key Performance Indicator or KPI by the end of this year. The Home Minister said only ministry's high-ranking officials could approve citizenship applications.
Warga negara ni kan satu anugerah tertinggi lah saya. Ya. Bila kita bagi, negara ada tanggungjawab ke atas dia, dia juga ada tanggungjawab ke atas negara. Hampir saban minggu, saya akan duduk dengan pegawai sendiri, go through satu-satu nama dan bincang lagi. Sebab biasanya proses mereka menilai merit of the permohonan itu berlaku. Kolom sebelah kanan itu adalah keputusan menteri. Ya, keputusan menteri. Di bawah perkara 15 ke, 16 ke, 19 ke, 30 ke, sebagainya.
He added as of now, the ministry has approved 5,600 applications. The ministry aims to process 10,000 citizenship status applications this year. 4.6 billion ringgit has been allocated to build 4,323 fibre optic point of presence (POP) in areas near rural schools across the country. Minister of Communications and Digital Fahmi Fazil said with the facility, more people, especially in school areas, will get services and access to faster internet. He said that the initiative will be implemented in 2 phases, with the first phase starting in 2021, involving 677 POPs, while the 3,693 POPs will be involved in the second phase, which started in 2022 until 2025.
Harapan saya dengan adanya internet jalur lebar berkelajuan tinggi yang dapat disampaikan bukan hanya kepada sekolah-sekolah di kawasan luar bandar tapi juga di kawasan-kawasan sekitarnya, ini membolehkan lebih ramai warga khususnya di negeri Kedah tapi amnya rakyat Malaysia untuk mendapat perkhidmatan dan akses kepada internet. Ini penting untuk kita mengurangkan apa yang disebut sebagai jurang ataupun kesenjangan digital.
He was speaking at the opening of Northern Zone Fibre Optic POP Hub in Kuala Nerang yesterday. 55 rural schools in Kedah have been installed with a fibre optic POP's facilities, which can expand broadband infrastructure coverage of the schools involved and the surrounding areas. About 40% of the internet connection ports provided at all POPs in the 55 schools have been subscribed by users, and it is expected to increase further. Bukit Aman Commercial Crime Investigation Department CCID recorded love scam having one of the highest cases with estimated losses of more than 365 million ringgit from 2018 to February this year. Its Acting Deputy Director Investigations Datuk Muhammad Yusof Jan Muhammad said a study conducted by the department revealed that of the 7,286 cases recorded, 82.5% victims were women, while the remaining cases were male victims. He said in order to combat the spread of love scam cases, CCID has undertook various efforts to raise awareness among the public on the danger it posed, including awareness campaign through printed, electronic and social media platforms.
Love scam ini tumpuan ataupun mangsa-mangsa kebanyakannya adalah wanita, iaitu sekitar 80% dan mereka-mereka yang biasanya dalam kajian kami adalah mereka yang agak tidak diberi perhatian, ya, lonely, yang banyak berhubung dengan orang kata Facebook, komputer dan sebagainya.
He said this at the launch of an anti-fraud film titled Oppa at Rasmi DRM College yesterday. 2 women died after the motorcycle they were travelling on was involved in an accident with a tanker at kilometre 12 of the Jalan Ipoh, Kuala Lumpur, near Kampung Kelawar in Tanjung Malim last night. The deceased have been identified as Mimi Nur Wahida Nur Kamar Hisham and Nur Nabila Rosdi, both 19, from Hulu Bernam and Subang Jaya, Selangor, respectively. Mualim Police Chief Superintendent Muhammad Hasni Muhammad Nasir said police received a report on the accident at 11:18 p.m. Initial investigations found that the victims were travelling to Slim River from Ulu Bernam, Selangor, when the tanker with an unidentified registration plate number made a sudden U-turn, causing the motorcycle to hit it. Due to the impact, Mimi Nur Wahida was killed instantly after being run over by the tanker, while her friend Nur Nabila was pronounced dead while receiving treatment at the Slim River Hospital. Further investigation is being carried out to identify the tanker driver who fled the scene. The case is being investigated under Section 41, Subsection 1 of the Road Transport Act 1987 for reckless driving and causing death. 4 children aged between 3 and 8 were tragically killed at a house fire at Kampung Sabah-Awo in Muar last night. The children were found dead, hugging each other in the house's makeshift toilet. Muar Police Chief Assistant Commissioner Rais Mukhlis Azman Aziz said in the incident on 7:49 p.m, the victims were identified as Putri Aisyah Tengko, 8-year-old, Muhammad Hakim, 6, Mustaqim, 4, and Fatihah Aisyah, 3-year-old. During the incident, the victim's mother went out to buy meals for breaking fast while the father was working at a restaurant. The mother was notified about the fire by her neighbour about 10 minutes after she left the house. The fire was believed to have been caused by a short circuit. However, no confirmation could be made as the fire department is still investigating the case. The bodies were sent to Sultanah Fatimah Hospital for autopsy. Over $1 billion announced for African women. There are more coming up in the foreign segment. The United States Vice President Kamala Harris announced a more than $1 billion initiative to improve women's economic empowerment in Africa on Wednesday at the end of the first leg of a 3-nation trip to the continent. Harris' office revealed the program, a mixture of U.S. government funding and private sector commitments, while in Ghana, where she was visiting before traveling to Tanzania and Zambia. The tour follows up on a December summit held by President Joe Biden in Washington with African leaders as the U.S. seeks to balance the growing influence of China and Russia on the continent. Harris already announced $139 million in development and culture assistance for Ghana and $100 million investment in stability and peace building for coastal West African nations who face the threat of a terror violence spilling over from the Sahel. The initiative for economic empowerment includes $60 million fund for women in the digital economy and nearly $400 million from the private sector to support closing the gender digital divide. She noted 3 areas of focus Washington believes could benefit from investments: women's empowerment, the digital economy, and good governance and democracy. U.S. regulators charged with overseeing Silicon Valley Bank before its collapse this month said Wednesday that they shared in the blame for its rapid failure after it took excessive interest rate risks. Federal Reserve's Vice Chair for Supervision Michael Barr told the House Financial Services Committee said that the bank management and regulatory system clearly have failed.
SVB failed because the bank's management did not effectively manage its interest rate and liquidity risk, and the bank then suffered a devastating and unexpected run by its uninsured depositors in a period of less than 24 hours. Immediately following SVB's failure, Chair Powell and I agreed that I should oversee a review of the circumstances leading up to SVB's failure. In this review, we are looking at SVB's growth and management, our own supervisory engagement with the bank, and the regulatory requirements that apply to the bank.
SVB's collapsed earlier in March following a bank run sparked a broader sell-off banking stocks by concerned investors, which led to a fall to another regional lender, Signature Bank, and a merger under pressure of Swiss banking giant Credit Suisse. Wednesday hearing comes a day after senators accused regulators of failing to do enough to prevent Silicon Valley Bank's fall, despite knowing it was overexposed to the risk of rising interest rates. Drone video captured on Wednesday the scale of a flood devastation in Tulare County, California, amid a bomb cyclone lashing the state. Footage showed roads and crops almost completely underwater in California's Central Valley, a major agricultural area. In recent weeks, California's extreme weather has forced thousands of residents to evacuate their homes. Last week, some 12,000 people, mostly in Tulare County, were placed under an evacuation order as high water from recent levee breaches has inundated a number of communities. Local media are talking about the possible revival of the extinct Tulare Lake, which was drained in the late 19th and 20th centuries as water from feeding rivers was destined for agriculture. The Lake Tulare Lake was once the largest freshwater lake west of the Mississippi River and has re-emerged in previous year due to downpours. The deaths of the 39 migrants in a fire at a Mexican detention center are being investigated as suspected homicides, a prosecutor said yesterday, accusing those in charge of doing nothing to evacuate the victims. An investigation was opened for the crime of homicide and damage to property, though other possible crimes will also be considered, Sarah Irene Herreras, a prosecutor specializing in human rights, said. She told reporters that none of the public servants or the private security personnel took any action to open the door for the migrants who were inside. 8 people had been identified as allegedly responsible for the failure, Security Minister Rosa Isela Rodriguez said at the same news conference. They are 2 federal agents and a state immigration official, as well as 5 members of a private security company. Prosecutors have already requested several arrest warrants. Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador earlier vowed there would be no impunity over the tragedy in Ciudad Juárez near the U.S. border. Authorities faced mounting scrutiny of their handling of the disaster after video surveillance footage appeared to show guards leaving as flames engulfed a cell with migrants trapped inside. Next in sports, KL Hockey Open League returns after 5 years hiatus. Stay with us. Youth and Sports Minister Hannah Yeoh supports the proposal to move the office of the Olympic Council of Malaysia (OCM) to a new location in the Kuala Lumpur Sports City KLSC Bukit Jalil. After visiting Wisma OCM, Hannah said the existing building, which was built in 1991, was worked well for the past 30 days, but it is not suitable for the role of OCM in the next 20 to 30 years.
Untuk masa hadapan saya juga bersetuju bahawa lokasi ini sudah tidak berapa sesuai untuk peranan yang dimainkan oleh OCM. Jadi kita kena melihat perancangan bukan sahaja sekarang tetapi untuk 10, 20, 30 tahun yang akan datang. Dan saya juga satu sehaluan dengan Tan Sri Noza, saya percaya bahawa sukan kita juga perlu melalui proses modernisasi. Okay? Dan kita kena mulakan proses itu dengan fasiliti dulu.
Meanwhile, OCM President Tan Sri Muhammad Norza Zakaria said OCM has identified 2.6 acres of land in KLSC area for the construction of a new Olympic house through a land swap in a collaboration with a developer. Tan Sri Norza explained that the impression of the OCM headquarters, which is the umbrella for the combined 58 national sports bodies, is not very good because the office looks like an old museum. According to him, during the construction of the present Wisma OCM, the area was then a sports hub because it was close to Stadium Negara, Stadium Merdeka and Stadium Maba, but now it is not suitable as sports facilities have moved to Bukit Jalil, where the location is also difficult to access due to traffic congestion. The lease status for Wisma OCM land, covering an area approximately 1.8 acres, still has 54 years remaining as it will expire in 2077. Meanwhile, Yeo said the Ministry of Youth and Sports KBS will release an inventory of all the infrastructure owned and maintained by the ministry on its website next week. The minister explained this was to facilitate any party to use and obtain the ministry's facilities. Yeo said the launch of the inventory also aimed to make it easier for national sports associations that did not yet have a training centre to choose any appropriate assets belonging to the ministry. She said KBS also had plans to add the inventory list with the cooperation of the local authorities. The minister said this at a Breaking Fast event in Klang yesterday, where she also presented 20,000 ringgit grant to the Malaysian Cricket Association MCA to help the association organise tournaments for sports development purposes. The Kuala Lumpur Hockey Association KLHA and Kuala Lumpur City Hall BKL are collaborating to reboot the KL Open League after a 5-year lapse to create more platform for hockey players. KLHA President Vikneswaran, who announced the collaboration, said the league would include various age categories to cater to both the development and senior levels.
Fokus kita adalah untuk memberi peluang kepada semua lapisan hoki di khususnya di Kuala Lumpur. Jadi selalunya kalau kita lihat liga hoki ini hanya sebagai satu liga yang kompetitif, tetapi kita lupa sukan untuk kesihatan dan sebagainya. Jadi
he said the Open League consists of different tiers, namely above 35, above 50, above 60 and Women's League, as well as different developmental events for the junior groups. Speaking in a press conference at Kuala Lumpur Hockey Stadium yesterday, he said the league started at the beginning of March and will end 1 week before Hari Raya. Italy's Yannick Sinner eased into the semi-final of the Miami Open after a comfortable 6-3, 6-1 win over Finland's Emil Ruusuvuori on Wednesday. The game was delayed for 2 hours by rain, with Sinner 2 left up in the second set, but the stoppage did nothing to change the momentum of the match. The 23-year-old Ruusuvuori was the first Finnish player to feature in a Masters 1000 quarter-final since Jarkko Nieminen in a decade ago, but he came up against Sinner. Indonesia has been stripped of the right to host the Under-20 Football World Cup as confirmed by global governing body FIFA yesterday. The decision to remove Indonesia as host of the tournament was taken after its football federation, PSSI, said it had cancelled the draw after the governor of the largely Hindu island of Bali refused to host Israel's team. In a statement, FIFA has decided, due to the current circumstances, to remove Indonesia as the host of the FIFA Under-20 World Cup 2023. The tournament is scheduled to take place from 20th May to 11th June. The statement added that the new host will be announced as soon as possible, with the dates of the tournament currently remain unchanged. The global governing body also said potential sanctions against the PSSMI may also be decided at a later stage. Ukraine's authorities suggested the International Olympic Committee (IOC) was retreating from its principles by recommending Russian and Belarusian athletes to take part in international competitions as neutrals amid a war in Ukraine. The Kremlin meanwhile said that there were elements of discrimination in the IOC's announcement on Tuesday, which would deprive its athletes of national symbols in competition. The IOC issued recommendations for the gradual return to international competitions for Russians and Belarusians, with IOC President Thomas Bach saying their participation works despite the war in Ukraine. Several of Ukraine's allies have also rallied to condemn the move. The IOC imposed sanctions on Russia and Belarus after Russia's February 2022 invasion of Ukraine, which Moscow calls a special military operation, but it now wants athletes across all sports to have a chance to qualify for the Paris Games. However, the recommendations made by the IOC Executive Board concern the return of the athletes to international competitions, but not specifically the 2024 Paris Olympics, for which a separate decision will be taken at a later date.
Kecemasan, boleh saya bantu?
Hello, there's been a motorcycle accident here. Maybe an elephant ran it over.
Sir, there is fire accident at the address number 5 Jalan Timbikan, Shah Alam.
PGO from FRT Shah Alam, there was no fire accident here. Over.
MERS 999. Use it wisely.
Alright, so that ends updates at noon, making the headline today. PM discusses bilateral relations with Singaporean counterpart. Before we go, we would like to announce that beginning this Saturday, our evening bulletin will be on air at 8:30 PM on saluran Berita RTM. I'm Syahida Arifin. Stay tuned to TV2 and Salam Malaysia Madani.